Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Saratoga Racecourse here on Saturday. It is the 23rd of August, 2025. It's Travers Day from Saratoga, and I'm going to look at the Travers and all the other stakes races on the program. But before I get onto that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And I mean it around the world. Let's look at the stakes action from Saratoga. Races 7 and then 9 through 13, so quite a few races to look at. Let's get to it right now. The seventh race from Saratoga. It's the Lake Placid Stakes. It's a grade 2 event going for a $400,000 purse race for three-year-old fillies. Field of six horses going 1,600 meters or a mile here in the Lake Placid. I'm going to take the one horse Play with Fire as a top selection. I'm going to go 1-3-2-6 in the superfecta. 1-3-2-6 super. Top selection of one horse Play with Fire in this three-year-old for the Basco performance. Chad Brown trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. The first time in the Brown Barn came at 3rd July at Saratoga, mile on the inner turf course in the Wild Applause Stakes, and he finished second by half length that day. He stalked away around the race course, saw some good pace to close up into. That's when the turf course is played towards very much front end speed. For this horse to close up like he did that day, I didn't think it was a half bad race. Went against the bias, refreshing here to see some strong pace to close up into. I think he could get the job done and run a good race here today. He ran two back on 16th of May at Pimlico Mile in the Hilltop Stakes. He won by length that day, and he set way out of it early on. He saw, a pretty soft pace that day, but he managed his way to close up into it, and he did that. An all-around good race for him that day. Prior to that, Keelan from the 16th allowance race finished fourth by 4 lengths, where he was just wide, just a little bit flat. Race over the fairgrounds over the winter weren't bad at all. He's training well in the Oklahoma. We went against Buys, where he ran a good race last time out. Can expect him to run well here today. I'll use him on the ticket. The Brewers Mayday ready. He's kind of been inconsistent as a 3-year-old so far, but his 2-year-old form wasn't bad at all. Broke his main on this turf course going mile 16th quite nicely. Came back to win at Kentucky Downs impressively, and then won the Jessamine as a 2-year-old last year. Keelan very, very nicely. Nearly stole it 13-1 in the Brewers Cup. Ever since that Kyoto, Japan trip, he just hasn't really shown up a lot recently, but he was getting a little bit better last time out. Training well in the Oklahoma training turf. I'll give him a shot here at 5-2 to find his winning ways. There's mandatory pick 5 here. That begins with this race, so I would use him there or her there. But to recount my selection for the 7 from Saratoga, it's the grade 2 Lake Placid. Going to take the one horse Play with Fire. Give kudos to the 3 horse May Be Ready or Mayday Ready. Excuse me. Going to go 1-3-2-6 super 1-3 in the multi race. Let's head over to race number 9 now from Saratoga, which is the personal Ensign Stakes. It's a grade 1 event going for a $500,000 purse. Race for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. 7 horses are going a lap around the Saratoga main track, which is 1,800 meters in circumference, or a mile and eighth on the Saratoga main track. Top selection here in the personal Ensign. Going to go take the 7 horse Torpedo Anna. We're going to go 7-4-6-1 in the superfecta. 7-4-6-1 super. Top selection 7 horse Torpedo Anna. This 4-year-old filly by Fast Anna. Kenneth McPeak trains. Brian Hernandez Jr. gets the mount. Ran the horse most recently in the Florida Liza Churchill, mile 28th of June. Guess what? She came back to her winning ways, winning by 3 lengths that day, off and on the lead throughout. She's a little bit wide, but when she got to the top lane, she came home clear. That's a very good run. He's facing her biggest challenge since the Latrione, and probably one of her biggest challenges in her 4-year-old campaign. I think she's, with some time between races, 2 months basically between races, she's going to be a very fresh horse, and I think she could find the trip to win. She's only lost once here, and that race a year ago on the day, nearly to the day, wasn't a bad race. Ran last year's Travers over the Milan quarter, where she ran a second behind Fierceness, ran a terrific buyer that day, triple-digit buyer behind an incredible horse, and she just missed, but she ran her heart out. One of the best races, I think, of 2024. One of the best races Saratoga run in the last 15 years or so, I think. But, that was an incredible run. Going back to Latrione, she just was, they took her back a little bit too quickly, I thought, from the Apple Blossom, and she just tired out of it, finishing 7 by 4.5 lengths. It wasn't her day to win, but prior to that, won the Azari quite easily, won the Apple Blossom handicap, and then she was pretty perfect last year as a 3-year-old. Won the Kentucky Oaks, came to win the Saratoga Acorn last year, won the Coaching Club, placed in the Travers, won the Cotillion, and won the Breeders' Cup very, very impressively at 40 cents a dollar. She's been very heavy favorites as of recently, but I think she could get the job done here. I'm going to use her. If there could be an upsetter, the 4 with Dorothy Vader, I kept going back to her. She won the Ogden Phipps as an upsetter on this course, 2 back quite impressively. Came back to an okay 4th in the Molly Pitcher, where she just kind of was a little bit flat-footed that day. She's sometimes an inconsistent horse, but when she finally gets going, she runs these good races. And she's missed time between races also. gonna give her a shot. Her 5-year-old campaign hasn't been half bad at all. But to recap my selection for the ninth now from Saratoga, it's a grade one person line, so we're gonna take the 7 horse Torpedo Anna. Give kudos to the 4 horse Darth Vader, 7-4-6-1 Super, 7-4 in the multi race. 10th race now from the spa. It's the Alan Jerkens Memorial. It's a grade one event going for a $500,000 purse. Race for 3-year-olds. Here, field of 8 horses, go 1,400 meters, or 7 furlongs in the race, formerly known as the King's Bishop. I think this might be the 10th anniversary of the race now known as the as the Alan Jerkins. But my top selection, I'm going to go with the 8 horse Matacat Road. I'm going to go 8-4-5-2 in the superfecta. 8-4-5-2 super. Top selection 8 horse Matacat Road. 3-year-old called by Quality Road. Bob Baffert trains. John Velazquez gets his mount. Horse's most recent appearance came here at Saratoga on the mud. 7 furlongs in the Woody Stevens, and he finished second by 1.5 lengths that day. He lost all chance at the beginning because he stumbled out of the gate, had the quarters get good position in a very tough race. He was a little bit wide. Patch Adams just caught him late closing up from the back of the pack. But this horse, he ran his heart behind him coming here, trained well in the West Coast since his last recent race. I expect him to really improve off that run. Ran the Pat Day Mile at Churchill Derby Day over the 1 turn mile. He finished second by 3.5 lengths. He's just a little bit wide that day. Macho Music just had the jump on him, but he had a decent place that day around back to a 1 turn. And then the Florida Derby and the Rebel. Those 2 races proved he does not want to go 2 turns. Even the Bob Lewis. If you just look through his form, all his 1 turn races have been much better. Refreshing back around 1 turn, training well 6-1. I think he could find a piece of it. I think the 4 horse here, Chancer McPatrick, went also for Irad and Chad, was a winner in the Curlin Stakes with the mile on the 8th at the end of July here at Saratoga, quite nicely by Had, where he grinded it out to the wire. They ran him in the Woody Stevens, where he finished 7 by 6.5 lengths, where he's just wide, just never really comfortable. But if you look over his 1-2 races, those races weren't bad at all. Won the Hopeful, closing up from nowhere here last year. Came back to win the Champagne. I'd be a very lesser quality horse in last year's Champagne. Won quite impressively there. And then his 2 turn races in the Breeders' Cup just weren't up to par, even the Bluegrass. He closed up behind Owen Almighty in the Tampa Derby earlier this year, but Owen Almighty also had everything his own way in the front end. But I think he's another horse should see some strong pace to close up to. Legs running here at 5-1. I think he's going to be a little bit fresher horse also coming to this race than he was the Woody Stevens a few weeks ago. I'll definitely use him on the ticket. And the 5 horse Verify, he's only started 3 times, but it's pretty perfect. Won on a very credible fast track on debut at Colonial back in March. Came back to win Pimlico Preakness weekend impressively and won the Maxfield the first time. Stakes quality horses very impressively also. At 4-1, wouldn't surprise me if he steals it here. We'll use him on the pick four ticket begins with this race. But to recap my select for the 10th now from Saratoga, it's the Alan Jerkins Memorial. Going to take the 8 horse Matacat Road. Give kudos to the 4 horse Chance McPatrick and the 5 horse Verify. 8-4-5-2 Super. 8-4-5 in the multi race. To the 11th now. The 11th race from Saratoga, it is the Ballerina Stakes. It's a grade one event going for $500,000 purse. Race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 9 horses going 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs in the Ballerina. Gonna go take the number 8 horse here. My main squeeze top selection. We're gonna go 8-7-9-1 in the superfecta. 8-7-9-1 super. Top selection 8 horse. My main squeeze is 4-year-old Phil by Audible here. Mike Maker trains. Luis Saez gets mount. They dropped her down to state bred quality horses in the Johnstone here over the 7 furlongs on the 30th of July. That was a good thing for her. She got a confidence builder. Winning by 6 1/4 lengths on the fronting, seeing some wicked fast fractions. She came home clear with a hand ride, refreshing back against open quality horses here today. I think she can improve off that run and show a lot today. I also don't think she needs to lead. I thought being on the front end was quite nice last time out, but coming from a little bit behind in this race won't be bad at all. She ran 2 back in the grade 2 Chicago Stakes to Churchill, 7 furlongs at the end of July. She's finishing 5th by 9 1/4 lengths that day. She just wasn't comfortable that day. She was wide and just weakened out of it. It wasn't her day to win. And then prior to over the 1 turn mile in the Ruffian Aqueduct in May, she finished third by 3 1/4 lengths. She was with them early on. She nearly clipped heels going out the chute. She was just a hot mess that day. She really never recovered off of that run. And then Madison at Keeneland off at the bench. She finished third by 4 1/4 lengths that day. She was just wide and again, just a little bit flat. Her form at the end of the year last year wasn't bad at all. A decent place by Mystic Lake in last year's Charlestown Classic. Came back to win the Dogwood at Churchill quite impressively. And then very good place in the behind Emery in the Raven run last year. I think and she has hidden form. You just have to find it through her form. I think back to 7 furlongs, trading incredibly well since the last run. 5-1 with a versatile type. I think this horse could win. I think the 7 horse here, Skyla, for Flavian Pratt and Judd Monson and Bill Montquin also was hasn't been a winner since her Forego campaign last year in the Florida Lays, where she won by a neck, grinding it out to the wire around 2 turns. They took her to the Clement Hurst last summer at Del Mar in early August, where she finished second by 2 1/4 lengths behind Ad Airhammer, who just had the jump on her. But this horse, she ran her heart out. And then I thought they took her back a little bit too quickly in the Ballerina. She finished second by 3.5 lengths. She outran her odds. She ran good, but she just was a little bit of flat horse that day, and then ran an okay fourth in the Brewers Cup. But I like that she's had time between races. Her form this year, she's just run okay, not great. She's gonna have to get a little faster, but I do think coming back 7 to this track, seeing some pace in front of her, I think she could find a piece of it. I'll give her a shot on the ticket. And even the 9 horse here, Hope Road for Bob Baffert on Jose Ortiz, hasn't won since the Bayacoa at Del Mar last November, quite impressively. Came back to run the La Brea, where she kind of snuck up the place. But that's a nice place at Churchill in the spring. Coming here at 3-1, another horse I would use in the pick four. But to recount my selection for the 11th from Saratoga, very wide open Ballerina. Going to take the 8 horse My Main Squeeze. Give kudos to 7 horse Scala and the 9 horse High Hope Road. 8791 Super, 879 in the multi race. The 12th race now from Saratoga. It is the Forego Stakes. It's a grade one event. Go for a $500,000 purse race for 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 11 horses. Guess what? Going the distance of ground of, you got it, 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs on the main track. There's way too many 7 furlong stakes races on this program. They just run the Travers at 7 furlongs next year. But my top selection, I'm going to go with the number 7 horse Mulligan. I'm going to go 7-1-4-2 in the superfecta. 7-1-4-2 Super, top selection 7 horse Mulligan. This 5-year-old horse by Violence. Rudolph Brissett trains. Flavian Pratt gets to mount. And the horse most recently the Vanderbilt at Saratoga, 6 furlongs, 19th of July, and he finished second by 2 1/4 lengths. Picamon Dano I just ran terrifically from a track and trip. I came home clear 108 and what was the time? 108 and 4 for him. That was impressive. But this horse closed up well behind him. I didn't think it was a half bad race. Going to see strong pace. I do think this horse goes up a little bit better with 7 furlongs. I think this horse could, change the tables today. Again, placed in the True North behind Bookham Dano, the Sato of the 6.5 Belmont Stakes weekend. Finished second by 1 1/4 lengths. He had the lead. Got caught late by Bookham Dano, but he ran his heart out. And then off the bench in the Churchill Downs Stakes or Churchill Derby weekend, finished fifth by 1 1/4 lengths that day. He was wide and just never getting into it. His races last year weren't bad at all. I had an okay third in last year's Brewers Cup Sprint. Got caught by the locked in the Cigar Mile. But he won this race impressively in the front end last year, won the John Nehru at Aqueduct July 4th weekend. And then won a very nice optional 80 at Churchill. Another horse, they took him a little bit of time for him to get going, but when he finally did, he's really improved into a nice horse. Hasn't won yet in 3 offerings this year, but I think he could change the tides today. At 7-2, I'm going to use him. I think the 1 horse most wanted for Brad Cox and Florent Giroux coming also. He ran an optional 175 at Churchill Derby back in early June over the 1 turn mile, winning by 4 lengths off and on the lead throughout. He came home clear quite nicely with a good time of 134 flat. Around the 2 turns behind Fierceness in the Al Sheba on Oak Stage, finished second by 1.5 lengths, where he just couldn't catch the winner in a very quick 143 mile 16th there. And then again in the Challenger, he just kind of yielded. I think he's another horse back to a 1 turn. That's where he wants to do his running. 5-1. I'll give him a shot on the ticket. And then, from Bookham Dano, he's done everything right his last 2 outings. His only subpar race was over the 7 at Churchill back in May in the Churchill Down Stakes. But he's a horse I like him, better probably at 6. But 7 furlongs might be his wheelhouse. Might also be in his wheelhouse. I'll give him a shot at 8-5, but I'm not as confident with him as I am with the other two. The other two I think are more likely winners over the 7 furlong trip. But it's gonna be a very good Forego here. But to recount my selection for the 12th now from Saratoga, it's grade $150,000 Forego. We're gonna go take the 7 horse Mulligan, give kudos to the 1 horse Most Wanted, and the 4 horse Bookham and Dano. For 7-1-4-2 Super, 7-1-4 in the multi-race. The 13th race now from Saratoga. It is the Travers Stakes. It's a grade one event going for a $1.25 million purse race for 3-year-olds here. 5 horses go 2,000 meters or a mile and a quarter in this year's Travers. I'm going to go with the 1 horse Magnitude as top selection. We're going to go 1-4-2-3 in the superfecta. 1-4-2-3 Super here in the Travers. Top selection, the 1 horse Magnitude. This throw coat by not this time. Steve Asmussen trains. Ben Curtis gets them out. Ran the horse most recently in the Iowa Derby at Prairie, a mile 16th off the bench on the 5th of July. He won by 9.5 lengths. He had everything his own way on the front end, seeing some decent fractions. He came home clear. Was running against nobodies, but off the bench off the injury. I thought that was a very incredible run. Looks like he's going to pace in this race. It wouldn't surprise me also if the strategic focus, goes with him. Actually, most likely probably go with him. But I think this horse get his own way on the front end. I think he could hold on to a mile a quarter, but he also has to hold off Sovereignty, who's an incredible horse. Two back in the Risen Star from a parking lot poster at the Fairgrounds back in mid-February. He won by 9.5 lengths at 43-1. He kept going, beating Chunk of Gold home, a good group of quality horses home. Not a bad race that day. And then LeCompte, he just had not the best beginnings. He was wide, just never really comfortable. He does his better running style when he has bits of wide poster, as I noticed with him. He had a wide poster and an optional Hunter Claimer Churchill in mid-November where he won by length quite impressively. Came back to run a very good place in the gun runner, and then LeCompte just kind of stunk up the place. I don't know why you got 43-1 on him at the Resident Star. He should have been half that at least, if not three-quarters lower than that at the price. But if you had 43-1 on him, good for you. Like I did actually. But since the Prairie Meadows race, he's been training quite nicely here. Wouldn't surprise me if he steals on the front end. As a small upsetter, I'll use about 2-1 on the ticket. But the 4-horse Sovereignty is also a very likely winner for Junior Alvarado at Belmont. He's been pretty perfect this year. If there's a horse of the year so far that's for you for here stateside, it's probably this one. He won the Fountain of Youth off the bench, came back to run a good second place finish in the Florida Derby. I thought he had a bit of a wide post, but his Derby race was very impressive with that move at the 5/16 pole where he came out wide and flew home clear late. Similar move in this year's Belmont where he had a bit of a move at the 5/16 pole and came home clear. And then the Jim Dandy, it looked like he was just kind of weakening down the backstretch, not keeping up, but he slowly moves his way back into the race and he won quite nicely from a very wide strip. It's gonna have to sit a little closer here today with a smaller group, but I think he has the ability to also win this race by kind of like Arrogate won 9 years ago. 2 to 5 crap price. He can win. I'll use him on the ticket, but if a small upsetter could be the 1-horse magnitude. But we're also at the graveyard of favorites, and it hasn't striked in quite a while, so it's going to be a good Travers this year. But to recap my selection for the 13th now from Saratoga, it's the Grade 1, $1.25 million Travers Stakes. Going to take the 1-horse magnitude as top selection. Give kudos to the 4-horse Sovereignty, 1-4-2-3 Super, 1-4 in the multi race. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5. Good luck, everybody.